Hey everybody, welcome to my Saturday live stream. I'm gonna grab the live streaming link and paste it in Discord, and I'm just gonna wait like 1 minute before we start to give people a chance to hop on. So we'll just do that real quick here. Okay, so welcome to my live stream. If you don't know me, my name is Alex Markley, and this is the first time I'm trying anything like this. So I'm kind of excited to hear from you guys what you think about this. I'll be monitoring my Discord as well as monitoring the YouTube live chat. So say hello, and let me see what you think, and we'll respond to you there. So the goal for today is I want to work on Markley Bros Entertainment stuff. And if you don't know what Markley Bros Entertainment is, that is my passion project. It's a YouTube channel, it's a website, it's a family business, and very soon it's going to be a mobile app where you can meet with other members who are interested in Markley Bros Entertainment, get it MBEers, and who can comment on videos and interact with one another and just discover the world of Markley Bros Entertainment. So I mentioned that it's a passion project. So basically, if I ever want to get work done on Markley Bros Entertainment, I have to do that on nights and weekends. So looks like we have a couple of people on the live stream. Thanks for hopping on. Let's see. It's Robert. Good afternoon to you. I will see if I can reach over here and say hi. I have my desk is set up maybe not super well for this, so this is all very experimental. But it's been one of my New Year's resolutions to actually get on, do some live streaming while I'm working and get engaged with folks, just to invite people to see how this is all shaping up. So what I want to do is I'm going to try flipping over to my... Now, I think you guys can still see me, but you can also see my desktop. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up my the backend code for the Redcastle project, which is the this is the it's a full stack environment for the mobile app. There's a significant chunk that exists in the backend. And what I need to work on today is, as you can see here, I have a controller that is basically going to proxy and manage login interactions with clients. And so today what I want to do is basically try to complete the login token flow. And so that's three things. That's, actually getting a token and logging in. There's refreshing that token on a cadence to stay logged in. And then there's actually logging out and clearing tokens. So let's see here. Now it looks like I have a warning here about my bit rate. So I'm going to try bumping up the bit rate here real quick. There might be a short interruption, but give me just 1 second here. Actually, I'm not going to worry about that right now because the settings are already correct. So I don't know what that warning is about. So let me real quick get myself logged in to my Cognito dashboard, and I'll show you guys where the backend for the login service is running. I think I also mentioned in the chat earlier that I was delayed originally because I managed to do something pretty stupid and transmit my a key, a second factor that required me to go around and rotate a bunch of keys, which took about an hour. But that's what happens when you super jack up your operational security there. Never a good time. All right, so I just gotta get myself signed in here real quick. Should take just a moment. And flip back over here. So as you guys can see, I've logged into my AWS account, which is where a lot of my infrastructure is hosted. And I'm using a service called Cognito to manage my actual logins. Oh, hey, Tyler. Good to see you on the stream. Thanks for hopping on. So just kind of looking through how this is set up. Basically, this is where all of my users will exist. Not in this pool, because this is just a test pool. I'm trying to sketch out and outline all of the API interactions. But there's the three sort of parties. There's Cognito, which manages sort of the identity provider piece. And then there's the client all the way on this side. And then in between, we've got my backend service. And I'll explain why here in a minute. But we can just go ahead and flip over to the backend service and stand up a local copy of it. So I'm using Docker and Docker Compose for my local. Makes it a lot easier to just get things going here. And this should only take a moment, but this will get the existing backend services running. It's kind of a microservice cluster. And while that is starting, I'm going to go over here to my new service, which is called Drawbridge. And I don't really know why I picked Redcastle as sort of the project name. And so all of the services have medieval and castle associated code names. So kind of enjoy that, but it's like a little inside joke that no one will ever see, except you guys and me. We'll know. It'll be our little inside joke together. So, what I've got in these microservices is I'm using a framework called Nest.js, which I actually have really come to enjoy. And basically what it boils down to is it is running Node, but but we're not using JavaScript per se. We're using TypeScript because I do enjoy the extra type safety. I come from a systems language background, and so the extra type safety and sort of compiler validation that you get with TypeScript is really helpful, I think. So, and we'll we'll just go through here real quick, and I'll show you where I'm at before we dive into kind of the next big piece. And I'm going to try not to transmit any sensitive keys again, because, man, I hate it when I do that. That's kind of dumb. Okay, so we've got the majority of the backend services running from Compose here. We've got the new drawbridge service running as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit it with my web browser, and I'm going to turn on my web developer settings, so, or pane here, so we can see kind of what's going on. So this is an API first sort of design, which I guess isn't working, so that's cool. Take a quick peek at our main here. Yeah, we're listening on 3003. So the idea is that I'm actually not trying to create a user interface right now. This is 100% based on the API that the mobile app will ultimately use. So when we get to working on the mobile app, hopefully I'll have a chance to do some streaming on that as well. Let me just, real quick, let me take a look. Yeah, connection refused. That's interesting. Well, do we have... So here's... This is going to very quickly turn into a troubleshooting live stream, where you can see how I tear my hair out and troubleshoot all the stupid problems that I introduce for myself. Okay, so this is Moat. Let me just real quick pull this up. All right, so Moat should be listening on port 3000, and he responds with OK when you hit his health endpoint. So Moat is up. Gardener generally is not an exposed service, but he does have a health endpoint at 3001. There's our OK. Postearn is not an API. Postearn is our web interface. So if I hit that guy, we get HTML back. And port 3003 is not listening, much like my children. Okay. I'm just going to ask the operating system what processes are listening. Huh. Robert, have you tried turning port 3003 off and back on again? I mean, I thought that's what I just did when I killed the process. But it's always a good, always something to try. Another thing is, I feel like there might be something else going on here, because this was actually working a few days ago when I was working on it in the evening. And of course, because this is a Mac and not sort of my normal Linux box, Docker is managed through a virtual machine, so it makes it difficult to introspect some of that stuff. All right, I'm going to kill that guy. and kill that guy. Ah, I know what I did. Although I'm curious as to why. Oh, of course. Yeah, so this has to do with my exception handling logic that is not complete yet. But the service never finished coming up. However, because I had so many verbose logs scrolling through and the process didn't die, I didn't see the exception. So that was just an oversight. I have to make sure that my environment variables are set up correctly. Otherwise, the service won't be able to start. And this should start much faster as well because Docker will cache almost everything. Okay. All right. Oh. Well, give this a second and kick this guy off. And he should come right up this time. We'll check and see if that exception is still hanging out there at the top. And boom, configured Cognito. So we are good there. And let's go all the way back. I'll remind you what we were trying to do is hit drawbridge and basically ask for a login. So we'll do that now. And that will kick us over here. So what we're looking at, again, drawbridge does not have a user interface of any kind. It doesn't emit HTML. What it has done when you asked for a login, he just knows to redirect you to Cognito. So Cognito will actually handle the user interface, which is really cool. You know, I have the ability here to pretty easily configure things like Facebook login, Google login. You know, you can enable self-registration. You can enable self-service, forgot your password. So these are all really cool things that basically I don't have to write the code for, which I have done. I have had to deal with authentication logic in the past, and it's really hairy because it's very easy to shoot yourself in the foot. Okay, so you'll notice that what appeared to happen was the browser page locked up and we got an error in the output. I'm going to walk through the network trace and show you why that's not actually what happened. So we did our post where I had my user was just my email and then the password is just password. Not trying to be sneaky here. I can show you. Boom, password. All of these keys and tokens will be completely invalid by the time any of this goes to production. So what ends up happening in the response, so we do the post and we get a 302 found. Cognito will do its stuff and it will redirect me back to localhost :3003. Now in production, this would be a redirection back to the drawbridge service. And what he passes is some details about the client configuration. And the reason for that is because I may end up needing more than one client configuration depending on the situation. So drawbridge will function as a client for multiple different, same user pool, but different client configurations. And then this one-time use code, this is not really an authentication token by itself. It's just a code that gets passed back to the client. And then the client actually has to, if I can flip back over here, we'll take a look at our user service. The client actually has to take that code And by client, in this case, we're talking about the Cognito API client, which is the drawbridge service. Basically goes and gets the actual token, which is a 3-part JWT ID, access, and refresh tokens. He goes and hits the Cognito API and goes and gets it. So then what you'll notice happens, which I think is pretty cool, is we get another 302. So we turn around, we pass the code to drawbridge, and drawbridge comes back with another redirection to tv.mbe.redcastle://. So that scheme is for our mobile app, which is why my browser doesn't know anything about it, and it just cancels the navigation, which is that's what this error here is, due to an unknown protocol. So the scheme tv.mbe.redcastle, also known as a protocol, is not recognized by the browser, which is fine. That's no big deal. But what we end up with, if I just copy this into my text editor, oh no, that's not what I want at all. Oh, well, that's more than I wanted. But this is the actual set of tokens that we get back. So I think this is pretty cool so far. And what's really interesting about this as well, just so that we, I don't know if we've got a few people watching. If you guys have already experienced with JWT, are you interested in what these tokens mean, or how to parse them? I can get into that in a little bit. But we basically have our 3 tokens: ID, access, and refresh. So if we go back to the original outline of what I want to do today, we'll see how far I get in the next hour and a half or so. Is I want to take my tokens that I just generated and passed back to the client, and I want to basically sketch out the entire life cycle for that token. So the access token gets passed to the client. The refresh token should be able to be used to get another access token and continuously get more access tokens on a cadence. And then when we're done, we should be able to initiate a logout and invalidate the refresh token, so new access tokens cannot be generated. So yeah, sounds exactly like the sort of fun thing to do on a Saturday. I don't understand people who prefer to like go outside or stuff. I don't know, crazy people. Okay. So what I want to take a look at is in the developer guide here. I want to take a look at the documentation for refreshing. Yeah, here we go. So how to generate a refresh token. And the reason I want to look at this now, well, obviously this is next. I need to be able to generate subsequent, Tyler says, go outside in January. Don't they know it's cold out there? Exactly. That's exactly my point. It's cold. And it's probably also, because this is Ohio, it's muddy. It's not even cold enough to do like fun stuff like skiing or anything. It's just muddy. Okay. So what I want to get to here is I want to see I want to know if I have to use drawbridge to sort of mediate the token refresh, or if I can give the client enough information that the client can reach directly back out to Cognito and refresh the token. Reason being, less functionality in drawbridge is better. You know, as they always say, the only code that doesn't have any bugs is the code that nobody ever wrote. And that's doubly true for security code. But in addition, I think it would be higher latency and just another source of problems if I have to go back. But what I'm noticing here in this example is that it doesn't look like I need the client secret. Maybe I may not need the client secret. So let's just take inventory of what we have. If we're thinking about from the perspective of the mobile app, what information does the mobile app have at this point? And is it enough to ask for a new access token? So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pull this up here and open it in a JWT parser. And this is really not very complicated. You don't actually need a web interface to do this. Basically, these are just 3 dot separated base 64 encoded JSON objects. And you've got the header, you've got the payload, and then you've got the signature. So one thing that I wanted to look here and just double check, it looks like I have a couple of things. I have the issuer, which gives me my Cognito endpoint. Is that the same endpoint that I'm using here? That's my sump pump. Like I said, it's cold and wet out there. Okay, so our pool URI, which wow, cannot type at all. Okay, and again, all these secrets are going to be invalid by the time we get to production. But I just want to double check, and it actually looks to me, what's interesting about this is that the pool URI and the issuer are not the same, which I was really kind of hoping that this would do it. Now, I'm gonna try anyway and see, because I don't want to have to explicitly pass to the client more information than I need to. Okay, I got bad request, which tells me that it's not an invalid endpoint. So I'm gonna try. I mean, heck, what's the worst that can happen here? I'm gonna try refreshing my token using only information that that the client would have access to. And I have an earlier example here of a curl command that I can use as the baseline. And I'm just going to strip out this whole command and basically put in the request for a refresh and see what that gives me. And I'll set the client ID in the authorization header, which is just base 64 encoded. Everything's base 64 encoded. But it would be this client ID here. is the user. And the authentication, it should be sufficient to just have a copy of the refresh token. That should be sufficient authorization to generate a new token. Which is why these tokens are just super important that they get stored securely. Okay. Yeah, so we have our post to our endpoint with a content type of x www-form-url encoded. Basic authorization, which is just base64 encoded username. Hopefully just username. This isn't long enough to have the username and the client secret in there. All right, so then we do refresh. Grant type is refresh token. Ampersand client ID. This seems a little bit redundant, but I think we had to do the same thing before. And refresh token equals, that's not literal. It doesn't mean to say like refresh token equals refresh token. It means this whole nasty thing. Should be able to grab this guy and just paste it in. Oh no! Empty? Does not understand the operation that was requested. All right. So that could be one of two things. It could be that we actually do need the client secret, which we'll try. I think that's this guy. Or it could be that pool URI is wrong. So this issuer host name does not maybe respond properly to. There we go. So we'll try this instead. Okay, and we got a new bearer token. Let's try without the authorization header, or maybe without a full authorization header. I really don't want. Yeah, denied. Okay. So, what this tells me now, just make sure that I just make sure here that I'm kind of articulating where I'm at with this. So if I have this information, I am able to generate a new bearer token, which I can syntax highlight that way. And this is super cool. This is exactly what I need. And the reason is because the access token is intended to expire much more frequently than a refresh token is. That way, you know, the bearer token that the client is continuously sending over the wire over and over and over again, if it does get compromised, it has a limited scope of value because it will expire. But also, if we have to revoke a token, we really can't effectively revoke access tokens once they've been issued. So instead, what you do, I think, is you basically revoke the access or the refresh token. So when the client tries to come back and get a new access token, they get denied at that point. However, and this is what I was afraid of, basically, because I have to pass the full client ID and client secret in the request for the new token, basically what that means is I have to do it through Drawbridge because I can't provide the client secret all the way down to the mobile app, because then anybody could do anything with it. Basically, I assume anything that is resident in memory or that is present in the install package for the client is disclosable, right? We have to assume that that people can see that. So I've seen cases where people try to put a client secret inside of an app, and it's a bad idea because it will always get pulled out. Okay. So how are we doing? It looks like I still have probably the same 4 folks that I started with. How are you all hanging in there? Anything in particular that you want to see before I move on here? I try to avoid gulping into the microphone. Although I might need to get a new microphone boom arm, because every time I tap on the table it creates this resonant sort of booming sound. Okay, so what I'm identifying here, like I said, is that I will need to be able to I'm going to need to be able to refresh the token through Drawbridge, which just means another set of these to 1 controller. And I may end up reorganizing these later. But yeah, I may end up reorganizing these controllers later. Right now, I'm just kind of sketching out what this is going to look like. And what I'd like to be able to do here is check the actually check the request. Instead of grabbing the refresh token out of a query string or a out of the path, I want to grab it from the bearer token authorization header. And the reason I want to do that is because that's going to be the same way that the client structures all of the rest of the... Oh, no, does that make sense? No, because the refresh token doesn't equate to a bearer token. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to put it in a query string. Well, that train of thought was short-lived. Tell you what. Yeah, and what I'll do here is I'll just kind of mimic the... Whoops. I'll just kind of mimic the structure here of this guy. And because this is going to, just occurred to me that we might need to have a denial of service guard on these. because if somebody manages to hammer this API in a way that causes Cognito to start throttling or rate limiting us, then what that'll do is create an outage for everybody. So that would not be good. All right. Okay. So one of the things you'll notice here about I'm just going to kind of call this out because I kind of enjoy the way Nest.js works. You'll notice that it's using these golly, I'm having a total brain fart. Basically using these tags that I can't remember the name of what they're called on our methods to basically declaratively wire up the controller, so we can sort of specify here the different endpoints that we want to support and what methods they are handled by. And Nest.js will handle all the dependency resolution, like passing us the objects that we need, as well as wiring up all the methods to the different HTTP requests for us. So it actually makes the code really easy to write, but it makes troubleshooting really, really hard. So that can be fun. All kinds of fun. All right, so we'll go into our user service here. And we will use the same delivery mechanism that we did before, where we basically specify tv.mbe.redcastle scheme, and we'll just issue a redirect after the refresh token has been generated for us. And what I want to do now, this code, these 8 or 10 lines of code are the same in both of these methods, and I'm about to copy it again. So that's my third time is usually when I think to myself, gee, I should probably make this a helper method. This is one of the interesting things about TypeScript. If you haven't seen it before, unlike most languages, the type definition goes after the thing whose type it is that you're specifying. So if I'm specifying a variable named client name, in most languages it would be something like string client name, and then, you know, whatever different fun stuff like a default or something like that. That is not valid in TypeScript. Instead, you put the optional type declaration after the variable and then use linting to complain if you do it wrong. It's kind of interesting to me. All right, so we'll grab this entire block of code and one thing that you'll notice working with me any length of time is I really like the sort of Python, this is sort of the Zen of Python. Exceptions should not pass I don't remember how it's exactly said, but it's like exceptions should not pass without being addressed. So a lot of times what I'll do here is basically design a method, and this isn't like a super smart thing. I think almost everybody does this. Design the method so basically it either returns the right thing or it just throws. So that sort of limits the number of possible failure cases. I did not want to do that. And now this can be a const. We'll do the same thing here. Cool. So now when I copy and paste this entire method, I'm going to feel a lot less bad about it. All right, so we have our Cognito configuration, we have our refresh token, and what we want to do here is, again, this is almost the exact same request, but just a few differences. We've got refresh token, and then we've got refresh token equals refresh token. We do not have a redirect URI. And other than that, I think this is basically correct. The only difference now in the response is we don't get another refresh token back. We get our ID token, we get our access token, and that is it. We do not get a new refresh token. So, do I want to use a new... So what I've done up here is I defined an interface for the bearer token response. And what I might do... trying to decide if I should. I'm using the TypeScript type system to actually validate the response that I get back from the server to determine whether or not yeah, I could make this optional like this, but the problem is, well, no, I could do that. Let's just make this optional. And then what I'll do is I'll just move this validation logic out of the core interface, and I'll put it right here. Because, yeah, because if I don't have if I don't have a refresh token in this case, I can throw an error, but it doesn't break the interface contract. All right, so that should fix the validation logic there. And then here, all I want to do is pass the ID token and access token, and go into my settings here and provide another endpoint URI for that. If I can find where I'm at here. Yeah. So I'm trying to decide if I want another path here or not. I'm not going to decide right now. We're going to leave it, and we'll change it later if we want to. This will make a lot more sense once yeah, I'm kind of developing half right now of the two pieces. There's, you know, the backend service that we're working on now, and then later on when I come to the app, I'm going to have to deal with, you know, some of the realities of how the Flutter framework works, and how URIs getting passed into the app actually, you know, what they, how they show up and what I can realistically do with them. So there's a lot of options. I just need to actually play with it, and we'll shape both sides as we go. Like I said, right now what I'm trying to do is just kind of rough this out. So I'm going to save this guy and save this guy. And this should take us back to where I can basically step through the whole process again. And man, it's only 4 o'clock. I'm actually making good time right now. So that's exciting. All right, so I just redid the sign-in flow initially. Got a 302 back. Copy my returned set of tokens. And what I want to do here is extract out my refresh token. Okay. And then I want to go back to drawbridge. So let's assume at this point, and the client will know, by the way, if you look at the anatomy of the access token, it does have an invalidation, like an expiry timestamp. You know, so when was it issued and when does it expire? And so the client knows way ahead of time if the token that it's holding is or has expired or is about to expire. And so the client can know, all right, I better just a little bit ahead of time go and get a refresh token. So just a little bit of added latency is not the end of the world, as long as we don't wait until the token has already expired and we've failed a request, because then we have to make a ton of extra round trips, and that'll be a bad experience for the user. Okay, and I've already forgotten what my controller endpoints are. Yeah, login refresh. All right, now you'll notice that my client, the client parameter is not being passed here. I've designed this in such a way that there's always a default client, but the client should always know which client it's using. So, for example, if I've got different settings for iOS, different settings for Android, that the client parameter will be populated, but I also don't want it to have to be populated. Okay, so this actually is another indication, I think, of success here. Because what we've done is we issued the request, and v1 user login refresh token, boom, boom, boom. And we got response headers with a location. So again, we're trying to deliver the new tokens to the app. And it looks to me like we succeeded here. And this is definitely a different response because we've got our ID token, which ends here. And we've got our access token, which goes all the way through to here. So if I just paste this in here, we can see here's my valid access token, and it was issued at 3:55, which is just almost a minute ago, or a little over a minute ago, and which expires at 4:55. So that is, I mean, that's like the thinnest thin slice of a new function that I can think of, because now at this point, you know, I do need to work on the app side of this, but you know, at this point, of the three major token lifecycle things that we need to worry about, I've got token issuing, like the initial token issuance, token refresh, and now all I have to worry about is logout, I believe. So let's go ahead and commit this. Again, this is a new service, so there's not an initial release of this yet. But I always like to just double check my commit before I introduce it, because so many mistakes have gotten caught and prevented at the stage of actually looking at the red and green lines. So I've worked with a few folks who just kind of fire and forget, but I'm never going to be that guy. I try to make very, very sure that each commit is exactly what I intended before I do it. Oops. So again, everybody, thanks for tuning in this afternoon. This is kind of an experiment for me. I've never done anything quite like this before. I mean, certainly I've written code before, and certainly I've also written code with folks sitting with me before, sort of a extreme pair programming kind of situation. But this is the first time that I'm just coding for a live audience. So again, let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got questions or suggestions, or if you see a bug, you know, let me know, because that would be super helpful. And again, I see Robert and Tyler have shouted out, so shout out back to them. If you've got any feedback for me, I'm trying to keep an eye on the YouTube chat, and I'm trying to keep an eye on the Discord chat as well. I see Martin Wimpress from, so this is a comment from Tyler. Martin Wimpress from Ubuntu is pretty familiar with doing development live streams. I have not seen those. I've seen a couple, you know, and I've been at conferences where there were, you know, sort of live coding events and things like that. So I enjoy just talking through what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and it doesn't really work when I'm doing it to my kids or my wife, because they just tell me to go away. But you know, I've got you know, a lot of work here to do for the MBE TV app to get it ready to go into public beta by the end of Q1. That was a commitment that we made in December to you guys, and so a lot of work to do there. I'm going to be doing more. My goal, again, this is experimental for me, but you know, I want to do more of these live streams, and one of the things that I'm probably going to do more of is more Blender live streaming as well. You know, once we get back into the Malik's Minute, which means that I'll be doing a lot of coding for keeping, you know, my Blender add-ons up to date. I want to do some live streams that kind of show how we rig up the Your Face motion capture engine to a character in Blender and kind of close the loop on that, because, you know, we've had a good response to the Your Face project, but I haven't seen a lot of, I mean, I just haven't had a chance to make a lot of, you know, really helpful demos and documentation and sort of assets that people can just download and get started. So I'm going to probably spend some time doing that this year, but not until the app is in public beta. That's a much higher priority right now. Okay. So getting back to it, I was just about to do a commit here. I just ran my format check. And actually, as well here, so I've got a couple of different things set up here for to just check formatting and check linting. If you're somebody who I've worked with in the past doing test-driven development, I am not doing test-driven development right now. I have a love-hate relationship with software testing, and so there's a lot of test coverage in one of our repositories that's for models of objects that get stored or transmitted. I have actually an enormous amount of test coverage on those models, because it's very important that those interfaces only change in ways that we expect, and they should always behave exactly the way that they should. But for this type of software, I just prefer in general to kind of YOLO it and just throw stuff in production and see what happens. If I had a customer paying me, it might be a different conversation, but I am the only customer. Okay. Oh, I've gotta do my my SSH card thing here. Which, by the way, if you guys have never messed around with these things, like 2 thumbs up, would highly recommend. This is the Yubico. This is not a sponsored video, by the way, or anything like that. I just really enjoy these guys. And I've got my SSH key on here, so I can do I can actually trust terminals that I wouldn't otherwise trust. All right. I'm a very, very paranoid fellow. Well, I take that back. I've met very, very paranoid fellows. I am moderately paranoid. Just moderately. Okay. Yeah, I still have to think about what I'm going to do about these. I might use something like... I don't know if there's a way to configure Helmet, which is one of our security middlewares that we have going on. You know, I really probably want to do like some IP-based rate limiting, something like that. But not something I have to worry about right this second. You know, again, I don't want... what I don't want is for our users hammering these endpoints to turn into us turning around and hammering Cognito and then us getting like soft banned by Cognito, because that would be a bad day for everybody. Yeah, Tyler also repping the YubiKey. Which one do you have, Tyler? I'm curious to know. And what all functions do you have enabled on it? Because, you know, YubiKey has a lot of different functions that can all be enabled. All right. So next, I want to talk about logout, or I should say, I need to just look into and learn about how logout works, because I have no idea. Oh, yeah, okay. This is actually much simpler. Yeah, all I want to do here so I need to proxy the redirect to the logout endpoint the exact same way that we do the login endpoint. And the reason is because I want Drawbridge to be able to mediate pool access for different types of clients. So the actual client may not know that the actual client won't know the Cognito client ID necessarily. The 5 NFC. That might be the same one I have. Tyler, the USB-A version of the 5 NFC. I've got mine set up with a ton of OTP. So I've got TOTP that I use. I've got two-factor set up for different types of things, and I've got RSA set up. I think that's all I'm using it for. But needless to say, it would be a bad day if I lost my key. Let's see. I also like, yeah, USB-A. Yeah, I actually prefer the USB-A. So I know you're saying the USB-C one might not have been available when you got yours. I actually prefer USB A to USB-C. And the reason is because I can carry these things around and then I can cover all my bases. And I guess this is just easier to carry than... I haven't seen a lot of going the other way, USB-C to, like, female USB-C to male USB-A. I haven't seen a lot of those around. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Tyler says storing TOTP keys and two-factor on lots of websites. Same. That's the other function that I just totally forgot about. What this? It's like Fido or something. I don't remember the name of the standard, but everybody's doing it now. It's very cool. Very trendy. Okay. So what I'm gonna do for this guy, we basically just need to do our logout process here, and all I want to do I'm going to add another deliver URI here to notify the client that the logout was complete. The reason I want to do that is because I don't want the client to throw away the keys until we know for sure that the user actually completed the logout. Because if for some reason they don't, it would be a bad user experience to have already thrown the keys away and for it to be out of sync there. So we're going to add that, and I will quickly synchronize up my settings. So I have a custom content management system for the app that is all based on Git, because of course it is. And I have a settings system that allows me to remotely set and update properties, which ends up just being, it's just delivered through the content management system as a flat file. Which means that yes, you can actually you can actually pull down and look at the production settings, same way the client does, and there's no secrets in there. What was I doing? Oh. Okay, so what we'll do is with this, what this synchronization does is it just makes sure that all the files are up to date, and any metadata that needs to be regenerated is regenerated, and then it will kick Redis. So you'll notice all of these guys suddenly kick off over here. As I'm using just a real cheap and simple messaging system to synchronize stuff between the different clients, or I should say not clients, microservices, you know, in this case. They're Redis clients, but so then once I start this guy back up, you'll notice this property somewhere, I tell you. Oh, yeah, here we go. Logout deliver URI has been added. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, no, so looking at Tyler's comment here about just leaving the YubiKey plugged into a USB-C adapter, and yeah, that's I actually now have I have a whole separate key ring that just has a couple of these guys on them for different things, and I've got the USB-C adapter. I've got like a whole bunch of them. I think every bag I own has at least one, and then I never go anywhere without one in my pocket, which is why this one is so beat up. All right, so we'll go over here. We're gonna open up just a couple more controllers. Basically, what I want is to add a logout controller and a logout callback controller. And the logout callback controller, what's interesting about this guy, so this guy does not have the possibility of triggering, neither of these two will directly interact with the Cognito API from the backend service. So these will both just generate 302s, basically one going one direction and one going the other direction. So we'll generate our logout URI, which we don't need to know any information. We don't even care if the user is logged in or not. All we're just going to do is redirect them to the appropriate Cognito user interface. And then we just want... We don't need a code. We're not getting a code back. We're getting nothing back. Logout callback. So then we just generate logout deliver URI. And then I guess yeah, I'm going to change the name of these two methods as well. So we'll do generate token. You'll also notice I like super long names. Mostly because I don't care how long it takes me to type them in, and also because I'm using an IDE that will autocomplete things for me. So wow. That is to say, I don't care how long it takes me to type things in when I can remember how to type at all. Okay, so we're disambiguating what kind of deliver URI we are generating. So here we're gonna first let's route to the logout endpoint for the user. And that will need to be async. So we're promising a string. We're going to generate the configuration. Or not generate, we're going to retrieve the configuration by name. And then basically do exactly the same thing we do here. Except we don't. What is the logout? Yeah. Okay. So logout does need client ID, and it needs the logout URI. Okay. We don't need a response type because there's no payload in the response. We need to add a new property to our Cognito configuration. Logout callback URI, which we haven't needed yet. And we're hitting /logout. And that's it for that guy. Yep. All right. So oh, this doesn't need to be async, does it? Nope. So we'll just return a string. There we go. That was another example of TypeScript's type system saving my butt. All right. I'll temporarily comment this controller out because we don't need it to test the first controller. And we need to add we'll add a logout callback URI to this interface. We'll test for it here for runtime checking. Because again, we're compiling down to JavaScript. It's not actually magical. I'd like for it to be. But if you want magic, you need to use Dart. Okay. I will need to update the configuration in secrets land. So give me one moment here. I have a environment.sh that now these are all development secrets, but some of them are actually valid right now for our development environment, so I don't want to transmit them. That would be not great. And I'm just adding the logout callback URI, which will just be http://localhost 3003 slash v1 slash user slash logout slash callback question mark client equals default. Okay. We'll go back to my fancy picture-in-picture here. We'll save these and get this guy going. Okay. Reload the environment, kick off npm start dev. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit it with curl first, just to do a sanity check. And we get a 302 found with a location of cognito slash logout question mark client ID equals foo and redirect URI equals blah. Now, if I try to navigate to this with the browser, it will blow up. And the reason is because I hadn't gotten this far before. So I have to go into my app client's settings and I have to update this one. I have to update this sign out URL to the correct thing. So what that'll do then is it validates for Cognito that we are in agreement where the sign out gets delivered. And again, the sign out is just a signal. It doesn't actually have a payload. Did I save that? I might not have saved it. Oh, I totally saved it. Is this the same? http://localhost 3003 /v1 /user /logout /callback question mark client equals default. Maybe that was an eventual consistency thing? No? All right, well. Let me see if I can just trigger log out going here manually. Oh no. Wait, that's not right. Did this thing... Huh. All right, let's try it this way. Let's just try hitting it this way. Require required string response type is not present. Well, it's not present in the documentation. Let's just make sure. Okay, well, we are getting routed in there correctly. So let me see. Oh, logout underscore URI, not redirect URI. That's what's going on there. So I actually need to update that. And I'm going to have to end the stream in about 30 minutes. We will be hitting the 2-hour mark at about that time, and it'll be dinner over here, and I'm going to have to do some video editing, so I'll have to switch gears for the evening. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. Like I said, nights and weekends are really the only time I can work on Markley Bros Entertainment until we get a little farther along and we can start to support ourselves with this. And so anything that I have to do has to get done on the weekend. Oh, hey. So I think we just did it. It just worked. So now when I logged out, when I hit the log out endpoint on Cognito, it delivered the logout signal back to Drawbridge by hitting v1 user logout callback, which is exactly what we asked it to do. We got a 404 from Nest because we commented out our controller. So, I mean, gee, all we got to do now is comment this controller back in and give it an implementation, which is going to be pretty straightforward. I mean, we're going to grab... I'm not going to grab that whole thing. Most of that I don't need. Do we even care what the client is? No. The client knows what the client is. There's no differentiation by client here. I'm going to leave it in there in this method signature because I'd like to get past it. I'd like it to get passed all the way through to here, even if we don't end up using it downstream. All right. All right, now if I try to log out again, it should fail because I'm not logged in. Maybe? Oh no, it was happy to just log me out again. but I am actually logged out, so that's cool. And I got my token here. So that's our initial token issuance. We already tested refresh. So now if I try to log out, I get location TV MBE Redcastle V1 users login complete. That's not right. Oh, you guys, you got to catch me when I make mistakes like this. Let's try this again. We want the logout delivery URI, not the token delivery URI. We'll initiate the logout flow again. And we get passed to TV MBE Redcastle V1 users logout complete. All right. Well, wow, I actually managed to hit all of those. So I'll be honest, I actually did not expect to get the entire token lifecycle finished during this live stream. I thought I was going to have to give up in the middle. But of the 3 things that I said I wanted to get done, all 3 of them are done now. So I'm going to commit this and then answer any remaining last minute questions or anything. And then I guess wrap up just a little bit early. See if I can go help with dinner. I'm just taking a look at this diff, make sure that it is what I want it to be. And it appears to be good. Any last minute questions here from the folks in the audience? Again, I really appreciate you guys all hopping on. Looks like we've had the same 4 folks the whole time. So I mean, I really appreciate you guys sticking around for this. And I know I saw Robert and Tyler. So that leaves a couple folks who I guess chose to remain anonymous, but glad to have you on. And, you know, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to commit this here and then we will call it a day. Well, I'm not going to call it a day. I have to switch gears and work on some video editing later. Oh, geez. So I unplugged my key, so. All right, and that's my task for today. So, yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think of this whole format here, and you know, I feel like this went pretty well. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. I enjoyed some of the conversation and whatnot. So I'd like to do this again. Let me know what else you want to see. I've got a ton of different things going on in this sort of MBE universe, but right now it's a lot of app development. So I'll invite you guys to, if you enjoyed it, I'll invite you to take a look at some more of the different app development tasks as I go through, and we'll do more of these work streams. And like I said as well, there's going to be some more your face performance capture and Blender and all that fun stuff as well. So again, thanks for spending some of your Saturday with me. And without any further ado, I'll let you get back to it, and we'll see you later. Thanks again. Bye.